Hey everyone, it's COD here, and welcome to another episode of my COD Zombies Retrospective series, a series in which I'll be looking back at zombies maps of old, and today, don't forget to put your PES device on, as we're travelling to the moon. Okay, so starting off with Moon's development history. Now, Moon was one of my favourite maps back in the day. I'd argue and say it was my favourite map in Call of Duty Zombies history. And I feel as though to properly understand Moon, we need to take a look back at its development. Releasing as the final DLC map for Black Ops 1 on August 23rd, 2011, Moon wasn't actually meant to exist as the map at all. For DLC 4, Treyarch had originally planned a Paris map which was actually teased all the way back in maps like Kino and Derisa, featuring the city streets of Paris, sewers, the Paris catacombs, and No Man's Land, which would have still featured on the map, would have actually featured with Pack-a-Punch being located right under the Eiffel Tower itself. This idea was later scrapped as this time in development Modern Warfare 3 was coming out and was heavily marketed with the Paris campaign mission and Paris as one of the main selling points of the game, and because of this Jimmy Zielinski and the rest of the Zombies team at Treyarch actually changed the Paris map last minute to Moon. Moon was actually only developed in around 3 weeks, and the map layout actually remains extremely similar, with the tunnels being the catacombs and the above section actually being the city streets of Paris itself, now obviously changed to the Griffin Station on Moon. At the time, Moon was unlike anything seen before in Call of Duty Zombies, a map actually taking place in outer space on the moon itself. It's still bonkers to even conceive and just to think that this is even a map, but it's probably one of the most outlandish and creative maps that Treyarch have ever made, and in my opinion, Treyarch made the right decision here, changing the map from Paris to Moon. Okay, so next up we're going to talk about the story and lore of Moon. Moon was the big finish and climactic end for Black Ops 1 Zombies, but to better understand the map we first have to understand the lore and the story surrounding Moon. Moon takes place in 2 halves, Groom Lake in Nevada as well as Griffin Station on Luna, actually on the surface of the Moon. In the US, Groom Lake, also better known as Area 51 to the Zombies community, was a facility focused on new technologies and dimensional extraterrestrial activity, whilst also being a test site for the American government's experiment with lunar teleportation. The Americans at Broken Arrow had an agreement to build a teleporter to Group 935's Griffin Station on the Moon, with the purpose of Griffin Station to research Element 115 as well as the mysterious MPD, an Argarthan device left on the Moon by the Apothicons and Keepers to communicate and reach Argartha. That was the MPD itself, and through the events of the story, Samantha actually ends up in the MPD after being teleported there from Derisa, and Richtofen ends up trapping her within. Scared and confused, Samantha is then corrupted and ends up controlling all of these zombies. However, in the present day in Black Ops 1, the overall arcing storyline has been building up to the climactic conclusion of Richtofen's grand scheme. During Moon's main events and story, the Ultimus crew finally travel to the Griffin Station on the Moon in 2025, a secret Group 935 facility where Richtofen completes his overall grand scheme that Black Ops 1 has been building up to, and swaps bodies with Samantha inside of the MPD, giving him full control of the zombies and the ether. Moon's story is then carried on in the map Classified, as it's revealed after Buried's canon ending, where Maxis ends the entire universe after the crew help Maxis to sort of gain access to the Rift and Argartha, and to finally be with Samantha in the ether. Richtofen's soul bounces from zombie to zombie until it finds his empty body after the events of Moon, as the Ultimus crew were captured at Groom Lake by the Americans in the 1950s, just recovering from blowing up the Earth, and we can definitely see in both the map Classified and just after when you blow up the Earth in Moon, the events have really affected our characters as they've just sort of realised what the hell's happened. Takeo sort of snaps out of being sort of a comedic, caricature stereotype. Dempsey sort of realises what the hell's happened, and even Nikolai takes a second to reflect. This Easter egg and the story overall on Moon was fantastic, as it was the climactic end to Black Ops 1. In my opinion, it is still the best Easter egg ending in all of COD Zombies. Okay, so let's talk about all the new gameplay features. So Moon has so many cool features on it, and I believe it's mostly a well-designed map, adapting everything that has appeared in COD Zombies so far, all the way from Nectar and Toten all the way to Shangri-La. And Moon included so many new things, including the Nova Gas crawlers, for example. These new versions of the Nova Gas crawlers can now teleport, and are quite annoying, especially so in zero gravity, because they'll teleport and they'll sort of float and swim in midair towards you. It's a very odd experience, and these things have caught me out quite a few times playing Moon. In Moon we also see the return of the teleporter, and I'll get onto that a bit more later, but wait a minute, do you guys hear that?
Warning. Excavator Omicron will cause decompression of Tunnel 11 in 60 seconds.
Oh, for fuck. In Moon, I absolutely despise the excavators. In my opinion, they are the worst feature of Moon by far. That and maybe the sort of pack-punch method, but I'll get onto that a bit more later. Randomly throughout the game, after power is turned on, excavators Pi, Omicron and Epsilon will activate to try and breach Tunnel 11, Tunnel 6 and the Biodome, releasing the cold vacuum of space into those gameplay spaces. To stop this from happening, you have to use the hacker device in Spawn. This is a brand new piece of equipment that can be used to hack doors, and more on that later. In co-op, it's not too bad in terms of the excavators, but then becomes more difficult on higher rounds, as you have a risk of funds, as well as the cold vacuum of space, and it's difficult to breathe, and you will die if you spend too much time in space. And in solo, as you need to run, all the way from wherever you've hacked to Spawn, you have to reach one of the little devices, hack it, and it will then stop the excavator. Not only this, but you have to run all the way whilst being timed. You're on a timer, and in my opinion, it's quite exhilarating hearing the excavator timer in the background. I think it is something that's very interesting in Zombies, but in my opinion, if you fail those areas, and especially if they are breached, it's frustrating because you can choose to ignore all three, and if you choose to ignore all three excavators in terms of Tunnel 11, 6 and the Biodome, they can actually completely block off access to the map, meaning that if you teleport, for example, if you teleport to Earth and then teleport back, but then you have Tunnel 11 and Tunnel 6 currently being excavated in solo, you are then trapped in Spawn. You cannot get there without a gobblegum. Speaking of the hacker as well, the hacker is a unique piece of equipment, very similar to how the player sets up on the map Buried. In the hands of a skilled player, Zelensky's team have given the player full access to cheesing Moon, again very similar to how you can use the Booze and Leroy to absolutely cheese Buried. With the hacker, you can hack doors for nearly free, re-roll the mystery box, swap the prices of ammo wall guns. So for example, usually it takes about 4,500 points to replenish ammo for a pack-a-punch weapon. If you hack it, it will actually swap the numbers around, meaning that it will only now cost 500 or 600 or 700, whatever it was for that particular gun, if you have the pack-a-punch version. I think this is probably, in my opinion, the favourite use of the hacker. Sadly, there are loads of other features of the hacker and it would just take too long to cover in this video, but those are the main ones. But the hacker really allows for freedom and creativity on the map, for speed runs with the cost not really having the PES device. And again, you have to sort of run around in certain areas of the map without oxygen, and again, that is the trade-off here, because without that, the hacker would just be absolutely broken. Next up, we have the QED, which is the Quantum Entanglement Device, and it works as the first ever completely RNG lethal grenade in zombies. The QED is obtained through the mystery box, and the QED can do, or isn't limited to, randomly spawning zombies in mid-round, dropping all power-ups or any power-ups, acting as all other grenades throughout the Call of Duty Zombies series. It can spawn weapons to shoot for you, and the QED is very interesting, as like I said for the hacker device, there are too many features to cover in this video, as it would just probably take half an hour to explain the QED itself, but the QED is very interesting because it acts as either a curse effect or a blessing effect, creating a risk or reward when thrown. For example, you can spawn in zombies, or you can get a power up, for example. You have that either curse or blessing. Very fittingly so, Gershes also return on Moon, the fact that you can obviously throw them, open up a portal, and they act pretty much identical to how they do in Ascension, other than being used in the Easter egg to suck up certain items. Moon, for the first time in Zombies, also features Groom Lake, where you can actually spawn in before round 1 even starts, and you'll have infinite zombies that progress in speed until you then teleport to Griffin Station. This is brilliant, as in my opinion, it was just so different to Zombies at the time. No Man's Land is again, risk and reward element to the map, and even rewards a skilled player by giving you the option to get Jug, Speed Cola, or Pack-a-Punch on round 1. However, in my opinion, Groom Lake really falters in some areas. For example, you get either the choice of Jug or Speed Cola. So say for example you spawn in with Speed Cola, and then you then go back to Moon, and then maybe you go down, lose all your perks, and then you really want Speed Cola back. So you then go back to Earth, and now you've got Jug, and then you need to wait on the timer and then until you can go again, and in my opinion it's very frustrating. Back in the day, the team at Treyarch really struggled with Pack-a-Punch methods. I feel like Kino is probably the best Pack-a-Punch method in the whole of Black Ops 1. I'd argue and say that Ascension's pretty good as well. However, maps like Shangri-La, as well as maybe Call of the Dead with the random lighthouse, as well as Moon, were just all very frustrating Pack-a-Punch methods. Next up is the Wave Gun, which is this map's wonder weapon and works by having a dual wield gun, one that zaps zombies and the other, when combining the two guns into an alt fire mode, is used to cook zombies from the inside out, inflating them, causing them to explode in space. And I feel like the Wave Gun was a perfect map for Moon because you have the zap guns and then the wave gun. The zap guns work very similarly to the ray gun, but not as bad in my opinion. They're a lot better than the ray gun. And then you have the wave gun, which then combined together is just really cool to use, especially on high rounds. And this thing is just awesome overall. It's one of my favourite wonder weapons of all time and extremely fits not only the map itself, but the map's overall theming. And speaking of the theming of the map with outer space, zero gravity also features on Moon, and if you're in space or in outside areas on Moon with the PES device on, you can actually go outside floating in zero gravity to either dodge zombies, jump further, or just to bounce on Luna's surface. The trade-off here is that the zero gravity can sometimes mess up training, with zombies floating slowly towards you and really messing up with not only the AI of the zombies but your pathing when training and moving around the map itself. Zero gravity is, it's something that you have to get used to. I think a new player would really struggle with Moon's zero gravity, especially, when you have certain areas of the map that has regular gravity. It's very jarring at first, and it's something that you definitely need to get used to. And other than the floating Nova Gas crawlers, the map has another special type of zombie, being the astronaut zombies. And they are really weird. This astronaut spawns in randomly and then walks slowly towards you on the map. This guy is really annoying, more so in Black Ops 1, because in Black Ops 1, one of these will spawn either every round or every other round, whereas in Black Ops 3 this was nerfed. However, what the astronaut actually does, it will just spawn in, walk towards you, but it doesn't want to kill you, it wants to catch you. If the astronaut catches you, it will grab you, headbutt you, and teleport you to another area of the map, leaving you on red. However, the biggest thing here is it will steal a perk. If you do not have Jug in your inventory, it will steal Quick Revive. However, if you have Jug, it will steal Jug nearly every time, making the astronaut zombie, in my opinion, one of the worst special types of zombies in all of COD Zombies. The only really cool thing with the astronaut is when the astronaut spawns in, it will have the name tag above it of someone on your friends list. This was sadly changed in Black Ops 3 because I don't know if they just didn't want to include it and whatnot, with the fact that you can change names. I don't know if that messes up with the coding or whatever, but in Black Ops 3 it was changed just to have the combat training names of the developers at Treyarch. And lastly, the brand new perk on this map was Mule Kick. Mule Kick, as a part of the Resurrection map pack at the time, was also added to the World at War maps as well as every other Black Ops 1 map. Mule Kick is very simple, it costs $4,000 and it gives you a third perk. If you go down with Mule Kick with a third gun, you will then lose that third gun in your inventory, which is very frustrating because sometimes you can lose for example, Wunderwaffe, a ray gun, a wave gun, the shrink away from Shangri-La. You can lose these if you go down with Mule Kick. Okay, next up let's talk about the map's appearances and cameos. Other than appearing in Black Ops 1, Moon was later remastered as a part of Zombies Chronicles inside of Black Ops 3 Zombies, receiving a full glow up, and in my opinion it's the best looking map in all of Zombie Chronicles compared to the original. The original Moon was very mute, dull looking and bland with the Black Ops 1 art palette, especially the biodome, whereas Moon on Zombies Chronicles is now very colourful, bold, lifelike, with areas such as the biodome and outside getting full reworks, especially with things like the earth blowing up in the Easter egg as well as Area 51. All of these got massive glow ups. Okay, so let's talk about Easter eggs. In my opinion, Moon has one of the best Easter egg quests of all time, which is actually split into two sections. It was the first ever Easter egg to be split up into two sections. You effectively have the Easter egg and then a super Easter egg. Once you have completed Call of the Dead's quest as well as Shangri-La, Richtofen will get access to the Golden Rod and the Focusing Stone, meaning that in order to complete the full Easter egg, you need Richtofen in your inventory with somebody who has completed both Call of the Dead and Shangri-La. Whilst progressing through the Easter egg, in which he uses both the Golden Rod and Focusing Stone to open the MPD near Power, and then switch souls with Samantha Maxis to gain control of both the Ether and the zombies, this being called Richtofen's Grand Scheme. As a part of this, the zombie eye colours will change and Richtofen will now become the announcer, which back in the day was so cool because it had never been done before. You know, when you get double points, insta-kill, it's now Richtofen telling you in the background. And they even changed lots of little things. For example, the zombie's eye colour as well as the fire sale song was now completely different. And then after that, more of a super Easter egg, which was the second half of the Easter egg, which was just a couple steps after this. The player is then guided by Dr. Maxis to grant him partial control of Griffin Station, to then try and trick the Ultimus crew into launching 3 rockets filled with Element 115 to hit the Earth, then causing the Earth to blow up and causing the apocalypse seen in 2025 in Black Ops 2's Zombies story. This Easter egg for me is easily the best Easter egg in Black Ops 1 and in my opinion the best finale to a zombies map of all time. Moon's ending was just so shocking as a cliffhanger all those years ago back in 2011, and I remember seeing this ending and getting it for myself and thinking, where could we possibly go from here after blowing up the Earth? Within the Easter egg itself, some of the most iconic steps for me include Samantha Says, which are these monitors that you can go up to and play a variation of Simon Says, and the last one in particular to finish the Easter egg is very difficult. I remember that step being very difficult. Gathering all of the wonder weapons, as unfortunately this Easter egg is very difficult without Gobblegums, as you need a lot of RNG, especially on solo, because you need Gershes, the QED, the wave gun, and everything else. And finally, launching the rocket itself. I'd argue and say this is the most iconic Easter egg step in all of Call of Duty Zombies. The aftermath can also be seen when travelling back to Groom Lake, with fire, brimstone, tornadoes, lightning, and even the nuke cloud being seen from Nuketown Zombies, which then perfectly ties into maps like Transit, Die Rise, and the Broken Earth saga seen in Black Ops 2. And although the main Easter egg is great, the map also features lots of side Easter eggs, one of them being Space Dog. Back in the day, there was a little Easter egg in Moon, and it led people to come up with a community theory that you could get and summon Space Dog. There were even joke videos all the way back at that point in 2011, 2012, where people were saying they could find a dog floating out on Moon, and if you did certain steps, you could then get access to Space Dog. This, of course, was a complete hoax and wasn't even in the map. However, for Zombies Chronicles, Treyarch actually threw the community a bone and gave us Space Dog with a little side quest where you actually get rewarded, and this is my opinion. Back in the day, I just love when Treyarch did things like this. They didn't have to go to all of this effort, but seeing Space Dog in Moon was just such a massive payoff. Moon also features radios, little Easter eggs here and there telling you the background and backstory of Griffin Station, as well as Group 935 and the MPD, but the map also features a Easter egg song titled Coming Home by Elena Siegman, as well as Kevin Sherwood, and in my opinion is definitely one of the most aggressive heavy metal zombies songs that's ever come out. Okay, so welcome back to Growing Pains. This is the section of the video where I talk about what went wrong with Moon and how they could possibly fix certain aspects and features. So what went wrong with Moon? Well, the biggest issue for me are the excavators, as they appear too frequently and can block you access to entire areas of the map if left unchecked. Even drawing oxygen from the biodome, for example. The biodome is probably the best training spot on the map, and if it gets breached, you then have to deal with zero gravity. I'd personally change the excavators to have maybe, not so much RNG, but what I'd do is have each excavator tied to a certain area of the map. For example, Epsilon only can do Tunnel 11, and then having all three of them appear in random every 4 to 7 rounds, similar to the monkey and dog rounds, meaning that once hacked and prevented, the excavators won't keep coming back every few rounds. Say for example you get, Excavator Pi tunneling Tunnel 6, and that quest step is still needed for the Easter egg, but then once you stop it, you stopped it and it won't happen again in that game, and when all three are stopped, they will not come back. Another really big growing pain for me is having Jug and Speed Cola as random perks in Area 51. Again, this would be a very simple fix. I would have Jug in Area 51, as Jug is such a crutch perk, and teleporting to Area 51 is very risky. I think that would be a good trade-off, and then maybe moving Speed Cola to one of the areas on the map. And lastly, one other thing that I really hate about Moon is the RNG and difficulty needed to obtain all of the items needed for the Easter egg. Again, the boxes can be very expensive. I mean, for recording footage for this video, I played 3 games of Moon and spent a lot of points and a lot of hours, and I didn't get the wave gun once, hence why I've had to use external footage in this video. Okay, so welcome back to Trivia Time. This is the section in the video where I talk about random facts from Moon and maybe things you might not have known about the map. So, did you know, Moon and Nuketown Zombies take place at the same time, and if you progress to round 20 and 25 on Nuketown Zombies, you can actually see the zombies' eye colour change in real time, as well as things like you'll get the Richtofen quote, as well as the fire sale song changing. Did you know, Moon is the only zombies map in the classic era to have no game over song for the map. Instead, only 2 laughs from Samantha will be played, and then the second laugh is no longer the first and is deeper in tone, and then the game just ends. I think this fits the map very perfectly as it's eerie, and as they say, no one can hear you scream in space. So I mentioned this a bit earlier, but in Moon you can also be in Area 51 in Groom Lake whilst the rockets go off. To do this you just need one player to activate the rockets, and then if you want all of your players you just run over to the teleporter, teleport back to Area 51, and you can actually see the rockets hit the earth in real time, and especially more so in Zombies Chronicles, they made it look very much like Transit in terms of the colour palette and skybox, which I thought was a nice touch. In the loading screen there are actually several ads for things in Call of Duty and the Zombies universe. You can see things like Mule Kick, X-Ray Specs, monkeys, teleporters, the golden rod, and especially more so in the Zombies Chronicle version where we get a higher res version of this, you can actually go and read all of these ads, and I think it's very interesting because you also get Easter eggs for things like Call of the Dead and Dead Ops Arcade. Did you know, in the cut development of the map there is actually an alternate loading screen for Moon showing Samantha in Shangri-La. Now we already knew that Samantha has, visited Shangri-La in terms of being in the ether, but with her herself with the teddy bear, it's very interesting indeed and would have had all sorts of implications for the storyline. So in conclusion, Moon is a fan favourite and a classic zombies map. Its gameplay features added variety and challenge to high round games, whilst adding rewards for skilled players with the hacker as well as Area 51 being very much risk and reward, or even things like the QED. However, Moon's overall RNG, elements and difficulty do make this map sometimes very tedious to play, and I imagine it's an absolute nightmare for the casual audience on repeat playthroughs, with the excavators being probably the biggest offenders of the map in my opinion. Moon's Easter egg ending for me is still the best Easter egg ending and finale in Call of Duty Zombies history. It was so shocking and visually stunning, especially with the music, the ending, Maxis maniacally laughing in the background. It was fantastic. As well as in Black Ops 3 you actually get to see the shots of lava and the broken earth chunks in more detail as the rockets decimate the earth's surface. Nothing in Zombies has come close to this in my opinion. So everyone, that's everything on Moon. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know in the comments below what are your overall thoughts on Moon, and maybe what are your some of your favourite memories of the map. Thank you so much for watching today, and if you want to check out a few more videos in the COD Zombies Retrospective series that I've got on this channel, I've got a few on screen now, as well as I'll have a few in the end card of this video. If you want to go check out Transit or Kino or 5, I've got videos on all of them. Thank you so much for watching the video today, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care and stay safe. Bye.